All right, today we've got a very special presentation for you. It's about another very fascinating class of beings I found on the astral plane, on the deep mind, imaginal, and spiritual plane, the DMSI planes as I call it. But title of this presentation is The Rainbow Beings, Higher Order Beings Found on the Astral Planes. So I started you off there with a little video of what one of these rainbow beings looks like. Here's a clearer view of a rainbow being. I've seen many of these beings in my visions, a surprising number, I don't know, maybe 10 to 20 out of 3,000 visions, but that's still a fair number in relation to other things that I've seen. A lot of them tend to be unique, but this is a rainbow being, and I just call them rainbow beings because they're brightly colored in the colors of the rainbow. They tend to have feathers and gemstones, and they look, like a very upscale version, like if a person was to dress in the most magnificent way possible, perhaps in like a traditional shamanic or spiritual sense. That's kind of what the rainbow beings look like. And got a lot of different images of rainbow beings here in the presentation. These were drawn by AI. I didn't attempt to draw these beings. It would be very difficult for me to draw them well enough to make them as impressive as they appear. And again, these are decent representations of what I see, but what I actually see is always different from what the AI makes. It's just, this is not bad. I mean, this gives you a decent idea of what I saw. They were about this cool, but everything that I see looks a level or two cooler in my head than it does on some of these representations. But so there, I'll let you just have a look at one of the rainbow beings before we talk about it. Here's a couple more of the rainbow beings, and let you look at those for a minute. Oh, here's a couple more rainbow beings. They can definitely look different. They can be male or female. Sometimes it's a little hard to tell which they are because their faces will be covered to the extent that it's hard to pick out whether it's a male or female. Some will have wings, some won't. But a lot of them will definitely have feathers and gemstones, and they all will have, brightly colored lights in many different colors. So now we're on to talk about the actual rainbow beings. Now, there's two primary subtypes of rainbow beings that I've come across on the astral plane in my visions. And for those of you new to the channel, these are things that I'm really seeing in visions. That's important to understand about this channel. What's very unique about this channel is this is one of the few channels out there where you're actually getting a real representation of what exists on the astral deep minds and imaginary planes by a person who's actually seeing it. Like, I've got an extensive occult background, and I've had shamanic tendencies since I was like 24 years old or earlier. So I've seen a lot of things, and I know a lot about the occult. And this is real. Like, I don't know any other way to put it. If you want to know how to do this, to see these types of spirits for yourself, look at my introductory video where I lay out the process for seeing these visions, and it's basically just seeing them on the back of your closed eyelids by reading the patterns on your closed eyelids and allowing your mind to project onto the back of your closed eyelids. It's more complicated than that, but that's why you need to watch the introductory video. So the two primary subtypes of rainbow beings that I've come across are shamanic rainbow beings, and I call them shamanic not necessarily because they're shamans. Like, I don't know, they certainly look kind of like shamans might look on the astral plane, but I have no idea if they're shamans. I just think they look like shamans, and so I call them shamanic rainbow beings. And then there's another class that are similar, but they have lots of different tendencies, and they certainly look different, and those are the high-tech rainbow beings. We'll talk about both classes of beings here a little bit on this video. The high-tech rainbow beings, instead of wearing like gemstones and feathers and looking like a tradition, like a mythical shaman might look on the astral planes, the high-tech rainbow beings are always wearing like super high-tech suits, and they look like they came from the future. And often I can't see their faces because they've got tech visors over their faces. And they tend to be doing different things, as I'll mention. Like the shamanic rainbow beings tend to come to just look at me, and maybe so I can look at them. And the high-tech rainbow beings, well, they're usually doing stuff besides looking at me, and often they don't even necessarily notice me. It's difficult to tell for sure what these beings are, but at the end of this video, I'm going to do a channel to what I call the universal data stream. That's who I've been channeling for 20 plus years, and ask them about the rainbow beings and see what they say. I haven't actually done the channel yet. I'm not going to do it till the end of this video, and then I'll put it into the end of the video. So as of this moment, this is what I know. I'll know more after I channel, I'm sure. Now, what are some of my thoughts about what the rainbow beings may be? Well, one of my theories is, and it comes just from impressions that I've had while I've been having these types of visions, but really only in relation to the first subtype of rainbow being, the shamanic rainbow beings. I haven't had these same thoughts in regard to the high-tech rainbow beings. The Egyptian idea of the Ba, the Ka, and the Ak. So, of the Ba, the Ka, and the Ak, the most important soul category of the ancient Egyptians, and all these are kind of fit within the ancient Egyptian idea of what the soul was, which had many parts, like even more than these three. But the most important one to talk about is the Ba. For the Ba was the part of the soul that the Egyptians often depicted as having wings, as a symbolism that it's the part of the soul that could fly between the person and the land of the living and the land of the dead. And I tended to think the first time I saw some of these shamanic rainbow beings in my visions, I had the impression, although it was never clearly communicated to me, that I was seeing the Ba of another person that I knew, like kind of the inner traveling essence of their soul. So I don't even know if this other person even knew I saw their Ba, but honestly, the Ba this person was really beautiful, like these pictures are, and I think that probably most or all of our Bas look similar, although they'll be projected differently to each person, or within each person's mind to some degree, I'm sure, but constructed out of the symbols that already exist there. But yeah, really beautiful. And I had this impression I was looking at, the traveling part of a person's soul, that a person doesn't even necessarily know that part is traveling. Now, I've seen that Ba from other people 2 or 3 times in my life before that, so this isn't the first time I've come across it. It's just the first time I come across it in full view and in full glory on the astral plane. And they look really amazing. Now, do I know what was that for certain? No. Do I know whether they're actually parts of human souls traveling, or if they're a race of beings on their own? No. And hopefully the channel I do at the end of this presentation will help give me answers to that. So, astral beings or distinct being types, I don't know for sure. And oh, by the way, yeah, those of you who've watched most of my videos, you'll notice I often wear hockey jerseys and things. I won't always be doing this, but to me, like, hockey jerseys are more than just jerseys. Like, some of them, they're kind of like mixtures between spiritual statements and cultural statements and political statements and regional statements and things. But this particular one is worth a brief mention. This is Quetzalcoatl, or the feathered serpent of like Mayan mythology, and this one's a really cool one. I really like this one. Can I get to the back there? Like, on the back it says Kraken too, and Kraken is from Norse mythology, which I'm like second. Let's see, I don't know what I'd call it, but I'm either second or third generation Norwegian in the United States, so I've got Norwegian heritage, so I like to look into the Norwegian myths. But Quetzalcoatl is really cool too. I have some kind of connection with 2 of the Mayan deities, or one deity and one kind of just mythological representation. It's Quetzalcoatl. I've even got another Quetzalcoatl thing over here that came as a result of like an automatic drawing I did. And then the jaguar. I've always had a real pull towards the jaguar symbol, and the jaguar in Mayan mythology, and also in Olmec mythology, and I believe in Aztec mythology too, although I never really studied it at the Aztec level, often was used to represent not only warrior kings but also the shaman. Like, shamans were depicted as people who could transform into were-jaguars. And when I was in graduate school for anthropology, I had to take a lot of archaeology classes, and a project that I came very close to doing, but I would have had to switch from cultural anthropology to anthropology to do it. Although now that I think about it, I really wouldn't have had to do that, but maybe I would have, because I would have had to convince somebody to take the project. But I was going to go study in Mexico and Central America, like Guatemala in particular, that a number of, as many of the Mayan sites that have jaguars that I could, and get all the pictures and create a big table that shows where there's the highest concentration of images and representations, surviving representations of the jaguar. And I was going to make the case that in that central area was where an original cult of the jaguar existed, that was like a religious cult that existed before anybody even before the Mayans and the Olmecs, you know, prehistory to them. And yeah, and weird things happened in relation to that. Difficult to explain fully without taking too much time, but basically I was drawn to jaguar symbols when I was down in Texas, like for a graduate program. And anyway, good stuff. But anyway, on to the next slide. Hold on. Get into my shamanic state of mind again real quick. This channel is the real thing, and I really do have pretty strong shamanic tendencies, like strong occult and strong magical tendencies. I'm an automatic drawer. That's where most of my magic comes from, but I don't do automatic drawing for this channel like I do traditional drawing, and not so good at traditional drawing like I'm trying to learn. But you see me doing stuff like this, it's because I'm trying to get myself into a state where I can fall into a trance easier, and usually this works. And like I said, I'm the real thing. Like, I'm not making this shit up. Like, what I talk about, I actually saw. So, and I've seen a lot that I haven't talked about. There's so many things I've seen since I've developed this technique. And that's not even counting the other occult stuff I know, which is a lot. That has to do with a lot of automatic drawings. But this channel isn't about automatic drawings, and I don't necessarily want to teach people that either. It's pretty powerful. And again, it really doesn't take much for me. I'm just trying to get into a state where I can snap into a trance. I can sometimes do it anyway, but... So what do we know actually about the rainbow beings? Well, they're very ornate. You know, gems, fancy clothes, fancy headdresses, usually masks, partial masks or full masks, feathered headdresses, winged structures. Whether or not they actually have working wings or not has never been really clear to me. Beautiful lights, beautiful colors, very aesthetic, very pleasing to look at. So whatever these rainbow beings are, they're either born on the astral plane with the ability to just look really aesthetically pleasing to humans, or they've developed that ability. They all look good. None of them look bad. Even the bad ones look good. They've never attempted to communicate with me. Like, none of these rainbow beings have ever actually tried to communicate with me in any direct way. They just tend to show up and be there and watch me in images, and it's usually for a short time, like 10 seconds or less. I'll see them in the background, in the dark of my glowing, of the back of my eyelids, and they'll like be glowing, and I'll be like, wow, that thing was there all the time. I just couldn't see it, like on the back of my eyelids. This awesome being just looking back at me. They never do anything but look. And again, one thing that I should mention is, I know I mentioned in one of my videos that I have two vision types. I have what I call my three-dimensional immersive visions, which are about 98% of my visions, where I'm just in this awesome spiritual environment on the astral plane, and I'm seeing it's like I'm in a 3D full immersion video, and I'm traveling through it, and I can travel through space that way, and time and dimensions. It's awesome. But you know, about 2% of the time I see what I call beings, which are not three-dimensional full, you know, movie scripts, in the sense they're more like I'm actually in the presence of these beings. And these rainbow beings tend to be either clearly beings or kind of mixed on the border between being beings and being traditional visions. Like, they're not like, they seldom show up like as a 3D movie script that I can only watch. It's usually just they're like in my presence looking at me for about 10 seconds. They're not usually doing anything in particular. They're just kind of standing there looking cool. And well, that's just the way it is with them. And so on to the next slide. Well, the rainbow high-tech beings, on the other hand, they're very advanced. They certainly appear very advanced. They could potentially be humans from the future when tech gets super advanced, but there's no reason to necessarily believe they're humans other than they look humanoid like a lot of my visions do. Extremely advanced tech. The high-tech rainbow beings, they usually show up in the traditional style, like as part of a 3D fully immersive movie script, like that I can't change, I can only look at. So there is the significant difference there between the rainbow high-tech beings and the rainbow shamanic beings. And do I still think they're the same class of being? Maybe, but I kind of do classify them as like subtypes of a similar, like, higher order, but they may very well be very different. Like, for that one reason alone, is one shows up as beings and the other shows up as part of scripted movies. They do build large structures in my visions. I've seen their large cities. I've seen large skyscrapers. I've seen very advanced tech, like dimensional portals, kind of like invisibility portals that they walk through and just kind of disappear, and then when they want to reappear again, they walk through it again and they reappear. Those could be dimensional. They could just be like invisible portals. I don't know. So they demonstrate much more actual action in my visions, and they do not seem nearly as focused on me, the viewer. Like, most of the time they don't even notice me. It's just like I'm watching them again as part of a 3D movie script. So here's a video of brief video of one of the advanced high-tech beings. And so now I'm gonna just literally right now I'm gonna do the channel, like, and then I'll write it out, and then I'll end it I'll add it to the end of this video, so we hopefully get some answers about the rainbow high-tech beings. All right, wish me luck. Universal Data Stream Channel. Subject: the rainbow beings. What is the nature of the rainbow beings? The rainbow beings are attracted to the spiritual energy you emit when you view the astral plane. You attract your interest because your ability to enter their perception and plane is relatively unique among humans. They are interested in you because of what you have proven yourself capable of doing. The rainbow beings are existing representations of astral solidifications of higher order energy and spirituality. The beauty that you see in the rainbow beings is a direct result and reflection of their deep connection with higher order and positive polarity forces, energy, and constructs. The rainbow beings that you see are both a source and result of your recent efforts to inspire people in public by the choice of clothing you wear and the symbols you project thereby. When people are inspired by what you wear, they are in fact at a very deep level being inspired and influenced by the rainbow beings, for the material is represented to some degree in the astral and higher planes. Always remember that when you inspire others through beauty of whatever type, or through your actions, or through your speech, or whatever it may be, you are opening a portal of sorts on the material plane to the rainbow beings. The rainbow beings only touch a few, but those whom they touch develop the power to inspire others through the material symbols they project at a level which can subconsciously and unconsciously extend to much greater manifestations in the future. The rainbow beings desire a universe in which is a reflection of that feeling of inspiration a human sees when they recognize something beautiful and transcendental. The rainbow beings seek to transform the universe with massive, sometimes galactic scale demonstrations of transcendental beauty. The temples they build are their grand galactic works of art, the beauty of which in some cases is unmatched anywhere in the universe. They live for this sort of stuff. Much more can be taught about the rainbow beings, you need but ask. Transmission ended. Universal Data Stream, UDS. So there you have it. There's a lot in there that's interesting, particularly at the end, when also the fact that there's more to be told is pretty interesting too. But apparently the rainbow beings are, in a sense, like the great artists of the universe who use their art to inspire people at a level deeper than they can understand, and those inspirations are like seeds planted into people's minds that grow up to cause those people to do great transcendental higher order things of various sorts. It's a pretty interesting aspect of the rainbow beings. I'm going to have to ask more about this. So I hope you all enjoyed this video. I think we'll probably have a part 2 about the rainbow beings at some point in the fairly near future. They've already interested me enough to do that. So thanks for watching. Subscribe if you haven't. Share this with your friends, and see you in the next video. Good night.